Good evening. Another day, another Monday. Hope this finds you doing well. Hope you got a chance to take a look at my interview on Fox, which that actually got me thinking a little bit about what I wanted to talk about tonight. I know I spent a lot of time last week talking about this is a medical crisis, not a housing crisis. And I know we've gone in depth on that. If you missed any of those talks, feel free to look back. They're still up, and or if you want to ask specific questions, obviously reach out to me. What I wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about is I feel like I'm getting the questions a lot. Is this 2008? And once again, I've talked about that as well, saying that this is a very, very different type of crisis. But I think that I've left a hole in discussion of what is this like? What can we relate this back to? What feels most similar? And then how do we learn from that? And if I study back on just some of the different crises we've gone through in our history, in our recorded history, I should say, the one time that sticks out the most, in which we're seeing a lot of economic trends that feel similar, at least this far in, it takes us back to September 11th. September 11th was obviously a very tragic time in our history. It was a time that essentially stopped our economy and kind of put us into an emotional tailspin about the world events. There was a tremendous amount of fear, and it was a specific event that happened that created the world that we were living in then. That, believe it or not, where it's a very, very different thing. It was obviously a kind of a war on terror, and it was a terrorism crisis that became an economic crisis. There's a lot of similarities to what we dealt with then to what we are dealing with now. Is that it was a very specific event that kind of caused this, something unpredictable and unexpected. But it was a kind of not necessarily something we led up to. It was a moment that caused this different lifestyle and then this economic crash, so to say. So if I'm going to look a little bit back farther to that year, leading up to September 11th, first and foremost, we were in a recession. Leading up to when things started to tailspin with regards to coronavirus, we weren't in recession. There was a lot of discussion about recession. There was some writing on the wall that we might be heading that way. But I think it's really important for us to note that we weren't in a recession when all of this started. Obviously, we were in a more stable market. This struck, and our market has essentially, by what I mean is our economic market, so to say, really crashed around us. If we look back to September 11th, the interesting things for us to note is that by November of that year, the economy was moving again in what's considered a relatively successful manner. That was just a few short months after the event transpired. Now, the difference in that is that that's a specific event that happened, and then the things that kind of tailspun out of that. This is a little bit different because the duration of what we're dealing with is going to be a longer duration, but I think it's really important for us to note that saw a very, very quick return in the economy after that event, and that's something that a lot of our economists are predicting quite a bit here. The other interesting note with regards to the real estate sector, when it came to September 11th, if you look back on that year, as a whole, our housing market didn't see any negativity. There was a slowdown in the number of sales, the number of transactions, but values didn't take a step back. So I think that's just really important for us to, once again, recognize what crisis this is most like, and then see how we came out of that crisis. That doesn't tell us exactly what's going to happen here, but that gives us some confidence in knowing that the possibilities are stronger for what we're looking at and what we're looking to. So I think that those things are really important to note. I think it's also important to note that the industries that are getting most affected right now when it comes to coronavirus are hospitality and tourism. That industry is just getting walloped. We've shut them down essentially, and that's a major part of our economy, as well as the oil. The oil industry is getting hammered as well. I don't think there's many economists out there that are really talking about the housing crisis or the real estate crisis. And so once again, I just wanted to kind of shed some light on that, bring that to you guys tonight. On that note, I hope you have a great Tuesday. Be kind. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. Buy a cup of coffee for any medical professional you know. They're amazing people. They're out there fighting the good fight. I think I heard today was actually National Doctors Day. Doctors, you guys are amazing. But just keep taking care of yourselves, guys. I'm excited to get through all of this with you. I'm excited to see a lot of you guys and give you some big hugs. I know it might not be in the near future, but at some point I've got some big hugs coming to some people. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to us getting through all of this together. Thanks so much and have a great night.